Hello and good afternoon, everybody. I welcome you one and all to the present lecture class, that is measurement of mortality. Before starting this lecture class, we should understand what are the various measurements in epidemiology. The scope of measurements in epidemiology are huge, and they are enumerated as shown in the slide. They are measurement of mortality, measurement of morbidity, measurement of disability, measurement of natality, measurement of demographic variables, measurement of the presence, absence, or distribution of the characteristic or attributes of the disease, measurement of the medical needs, healthcare facilities, utilization of health services and other health-related events, measurement of the presence, absence, and distribution of the environmental and other factors suspected of causing the disease. These are the various measurements in the epidemiology. Today we'll be discussing about the measurements of mortality. Traditionally and universally, if you talk about the measurement of mortality, they form the beginning of any sort of epidemiological studies. And many countries have routine systems for collecting mortality data because that's the most easiest way of collecting the data for them. They are the major source for the epidemiologists as far as this measurement of mortality is concerned. Death certificate or certificate of death. The basis of any mortality data is the death certificate. To ensure national and international comparability, it is very necessary that a uniform and standardized system of recording and classifying deaths has to be there. For all this, the World Health Organization has recommended a death certificate for international use, which we present in the following slides. Now, if you look at this death certificate, the international standard form, as mentioned in this slide, it is as per the International Classification of Diseases 10, version 10. If you see that it has two parts, part 1 and part 2. So this international death certificate has two parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the immediate cause, that is a disease or condition directly leading to death. And it has also the antecedent causes. And part 2 has other significant conditions contributing to death, but not related to the disease or condition causing it. I will explain you later in the subsequent slides. You can take this example as mentioned in this international death certificate. For example, if the direct cause or the condition leading to death is bronchopneumonia, the antecedent cause that is mentioned out here is triangulator hernia. Any associated cause or any other significant condition that may have contributed to this death is diabetes. Likewise, it can be diabetes. The significant cause can be diabetes or hypertension or any other cause. So, if you look into this any other condition, so disease or condition directly leading to death, as mentioned in part 1. If you look at a condition like head injury, so antecedent cause would be accident that would have occurred on the road. And other significant conditions that were contributed to this is diabetes, hypertension, or diabetes and hypertension as such. So who gives this death certificate? Death certificate is a vital record given by the licensed physician or another designated health worker. So what does it include? It includes the cause of death, the deceased person's name or decedent's name, the sex of the person, the birth date or the birthplace, the place of residence and death, the occupation of the deceased person, and whether the deceased person had got medical attention prior to his death. Now, if you're looking into the death certificate, as I mentioned earlier, it is divided into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the immediate cause of death, and part 1 has another subset, that is underlying cause. So immediate cause, as I said earlier, if it is a bronchopneumonia, the underlying cause is strangulator hernia. The part 2 is other significant conditions or diseases which may have contributed to the cause of the death, as I mentioned in the previous example, that is diabetes. What is the death certificate used in India? There is a certain type of modification that is used to the death certificate, international death certificate. So this is done to improve the quality of maternal mortality and infant mortality data and to provide alternate method of collecting data on deaths during pregnancy and infancy. To this, the death certificate, a set of questions are added so that the maternal mortality data and infant mortality data can be easily collected. Now, what are the limitations of the mortality data? Incomplete reporting of deaths. Many a times, because of incomplete reporting of deaths, the mortality data is not assessed properly. Lack of accuracy. Lack of accuracy is because of either due to the incompetence of the certifying doctor, or because of the post-mortem report that is not available, or is it because of the other causes? Lack of uniformity. There's no particular uniform way of collecting this mortality data, because different countries had different ways of collecting the mortality data. Choosing a single cause of death. Many a times, the cause of death is not properly mentioned. What are the underlying causes or the associated causes are also not mentioned. So, single cause of death, choice of a single cause of death is very, very important to fill in the mortality data. Now, the changing coding systems and the changing fashion of diagnosis in different countries also contributes to the limitations of mortality data. Diseases with low fatality like mental illnesses and arthritis can also be a limitation as far as the collection of mortality data is concerned. Now, what are the uses of this mortality data? This explains the different trends and differentials in overall mortality. It also indicates the priorities for health action and allocation of resources, because depending upon the particular disease, the amount of budget, the amount of manpower, the amount of time also have to be decided. In designing various intervention programs, for example, if the disease is somewhat like diabetes, whether you require a particular program for bringing down the mortality and morbidity due to diabetes, or if it is a coronary heart disease, you need to have a national program or any other program. So if you have various diseases like cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and stroke, we do have a national program for controlling these particular diseases. Assessment and monitoring of public health programs, problems and programs. So mortality data will give you an idea about whether the health problems and programs are functioning or not, whether the public health problem is mitigated or not. What was the incidence of public health problem before doing the program, and what is the incidence of public health program after doing the program, whether there is any decrease of the incidence or prevalence of a particular health problem. Important clues for epidemiological research. Mortality data gives you an idea about the etiology of the disease, and they're very important as far as research in epidemiology is concerned. Mortality rates and ratios. If you look at the various mortality rates and ratios, there are crude death rates, specific death rates, state fatality rate or ratio, proportional mortality rate or ratio, survival rate, adjusted or standardized rates. Now, what is crude death rate? So it is the simplest measure as far as the various mortality rates are concerned. It is defined as the number of deaths from all causes per 1,000 immediate population in a year in a given place. It means it tells us about the various deaths occurring from all causes in a particular area per 1,000 people in a particular year. So if you look at the formula, CDR is equal to number of deaths during the year by immediate population into 1,000. Note the multiplying factor is 1,000 in crude death rate. Crude death rate summarizes the effect of two factors, that is population composition and age-specific death rates. If you see this is table 1, what we see is there are two populations, population A and population B, and crude death rate and age-specific death rates per 1,000 population. If you look at the crude death rate of population A, it is more than population B, which is 9.9. So crude death rate of population A is 15.2 per 1,000 population. Crude death rate of population B is 9.9 per 1,000 population. So it gives you a sense of false security that population B is healthier than population A. But if you look closely and examine and see that the age-specific death rates per 1,000 population in population B is more than the age-specific death rates per 1000 population in population A. So it means that population A, the model what we see in population A, the crude death rates, is seen in developed countries where the number of old persons in the population is more compared to developing countries where the crude death rate is less and the age-specific death rates per 1000 population is more. I hope you understood by this present table. Now, what is the disadvantage as far as these crude death rates are concerned? Lack of comparability for communities with population that differ by age, sex, race, etc. However, the crude death rates have to be examined first and later the age-specific death rates, because a single value of crude death rate gives a overall impression of the death rates that are prevailing in a particular geographical area in a particular community. Now, the second mortality rate is specific death rates. It can be cause or disease specific, like TB, cancer, or accident, etc. It can be group specific, like age specific, sex specific, age and sex specific, or it can be specific for other variables like income, religion, race, and housing, etc. So this specific death rate have a use to identify particular group at risk for preventive action. So you can know a particular group wherein all your health measures can be applied. For example, if a group of persons are suffering from tuberculosis, what are the various health interventions and what are the various preventive actions that can be done? Can be always be thought of. To compare between different causes in the same population. So in the same population, how many are suffering from tuberculosis, how many are suffering from blindness, how many are suffering from cataract, how many are suffering from leprosy, like this, you can study the specific death rates in the population. To get an idea on etiology, you can pinpoint the exact etiology when you talk about specific death rates, whether it is tuberculosis, whether it is cancer, whether it is hypertension, whether it is diabetes mellitus, like this. Specific death rates are obtained mainly in countries in which a satisfactory civil registration system operates. It means the civil registration system is robust, and whether the birth and the death rates and birth rates are noted promptly. In which a high proportion of deaths is certified medically. This is only possible when there is when there are a large number of competent certified medical professionals, as well as when the postmortem analysis is done promptly and reporting of deaths is also done promptly. Now, these are the examples of specific death rates what we have as shown in this table number 2. Now, what is the specific death rate due to tuberculosis? It is the number of deaths due to tuberculosis during a calendar year by median population into 1000. Likewise, if you look into the death rate for January, it is death rates in January multiplied by 12 by median population into 1000. The multiplication factor 12 is maintained to have a comparison with that of annual death rate. Likewise, weekly death rate is deaths in the week by median population multiplied by 52 into 1000. So this is again to have a comparison with the annual death rate. So note the fact, the specific death rate, the multiplying factor is also 1000. Case fatality rates or ratio. It is the total number of deaths due to a particular disease by total number of cases due to the same disease into 100. Note the multiplying factor is 100. So what you have is essentially the numerator is the deaths of a particular disease, and the denominator is the cases of the particular disease. So deaths of a particular disease by cases of the same disease into 100 forms the case fatality rate ratio. It represents the killing power of the disease. Time interval is not specified as in other mortality rates like crude death rate as specified death rate, and it is typically used for acute infectious diseases like food poisoning, cholera, and measles, and it is not used for chronic diseases. As I said earlier, usefulness for chronic disease is very limited. This case fatality rate or ratio for the same disease may vary in different epidemics. Case fatality rate or ratio is closely related to virulence of the particular organism, whether it's a bacteria or the virus that is responsible for causing the deaths in various settings. The fourth important mortality rate is proportional mortality rates. It is the number of deaths due to a particular cause per 100 or 1000 total deaths. So if the numerator is often the deaths due to a particular cause by total number of deaths into 1000. Thus we have proportional mortality rate for a specific disease, under 5 proportional mortality rate, a proportional mortality rate for age 50 years and above. So as seen in this following slide, proportional mortality rate for a specific disease, it is the number of deaths from the specific disease in a year by the total number of deaths from all causes in the year into 100. So essentially it is the numerator which is specific to the particular group or a particular disease. So the group can be a specific disease, or the group can be under 5, or it can be people of the age 50 years and above. The denominator is essentially deaths, total number of deaths. Note the multiplying factor is 100. PMR is computed usually for a broad disease group such as a communicable diseases, and for a specified disease of major public health importance such as cancer or coronary heart disease in industrialized countries. Used when the population data is not available. Limited value in comparison between population groups of different period. However, the usual indicators within any population group of the specific disease or disease group as cause of death. Its computation for each age and sex group is desirable for the reduction of preventable mortality. It is very important that we should understand the PMR for a particular age group or a particular sex group. For an age group, it can be the younger age group, the middle age group, or the elderly age group. Or for the sex group, it can be males or females. It does not indicate the members in the population contracting or dying from the disease. Now, survival rate. Survival rate is the proportion of survivors in a group, that is the number of patients studied and followed over a period, that is namely 5 years. It is a method for describing prognosis in certain disease conditions. It is used as a hard yardstick for assessment of standards of therapy. Survival rates are very important as far as studying cancer rates or cancer studies are concerned. So survival rate is calculated by the formula. Survival rate is equal to total number of patients alive after 5 years, the total number of patients diagnosed or treated into 100. Survival rate is also the multiplying factor in survival rate is 100. Now, the last mortality rate is adjusted or standardized rates. If you look into adjusted or standardized rates, let us say, if you compare the crude death rate of two populations, you find that in the two populations, the crude death rate may not be an authentic figure because crude death rate is not the proper yardstick. So in such cases, what we observe is there are different age groups in a particular populations. So in such cases, age adjustment or age standardization has to be done to remove the confounding effect of different age groups and to yield a single standardized or adjusted rate by which mortality experience can be compared directly. So what I was saying earlier is, if you look at the crude death rates of two populations and you compare, the crude death rate should not be taken per se for the simple reason that we have different age groups in the populations which may contribute to the mortality differently. Now this adjustment can be made not only for age but also for sex, parity, race, etc. There are two methods of age adjustment or standardization. Either you can use direct standardization or you can use indirect standardization. Both these require for calculation a standard population and not the age structures of the population. So we must understand that a standard population is very, very important as far as this standardization is concerned. Direct standardization. Let us understand what is direct standardization. For this, we have to know what is a standard population. A standard population is defined as one for which the numbers in different age and sex group are known. It means that different age groups, you have the populations, and for different sex groups, you have the population. For example, 0 to 5 years, you have a specified number of population. Like 5 to 10 years, you have a specified number. So 10 to 15 years, you have a specified number. Likewise, in sex, for males, how many are males, how many are females are known in a standard population. To understand this, let us go to example 1. In example 1, we need to compute the age-specific death rates per 1,000 population for city X. Let me explain you in detail in the following table. Now in the table 3, what we observe is the different age groups starting from 0 to 64 years, and we have the mid-year population in each age group, and we have the deaths in the year. So what essentially we have to do is to calculate the age-specific death rates. As seen here in the 0 group, what we have is 4,000 mid-year population, deaths is 60. So age-specific death rate is 60 by 4,000 into 1,000, which comes to 15 per 1,000 population. Likewise, in different age groups, we calculate the deaths, we calculate the age-specific death rates. In 55 to 64 years, the age-specific death rate is 21.4. So we need to calculate the crude death rate in this particular case. So we calculate the total of all the deaths, which comes to 446. We calculate the total of the entire population, which comes to 53,500. And we calculate the crude death rate, which I'll explain in the subsequent slide. The crude death rate is calculated as I said earlier, crude death rate per 1,000 population is total number of deaths in the year, the total mid-year population into 1,000. So as seen in the previous slide, the total number of deaths is 446 and the total population is 53,500. So what we get is crude death rate is 8.3 per 1,000 population. Now we apply the various age-specific death rates to the standard population to calculate the expected deaths and the standardized or age-adjusted death rate. Let me explain you in detail in the subsequent slide. If you remember in the previous slide, we have calculated the age-specific death rates for the city X. So we apply those age-specific death rates against the standard population mentioned for each age group. In the previous table, what we had is the population for each age group. Now what we have in this particular slide, in table 4, in this particular age group, we have the standard population. So applying the age-specific death rates, what we derived in the previous table, we apply against the standard population. What we get is the expected deaths. So we calculate the expected deaths, applying the age-specific death rates against the standard population, and we get the expected deaths. The total of all the expected deaths, what we get here is 609.94. And if we total the entire standard population, what we get is 93,000. So standardized death rate per 1,000 population is 609.94 divided by 93 into 1,000, what we get is 6.56 per 1,000 population. So this is what I have explained over this entire slide. So what we get is ultimately the standardized or age-adjusted rate. So standardized death rate or age-adjusted rate for this entire population for city X is 6.56. So the calculation of standard death rate is further explained in this slide. So 609.4 by 93,000 into 1,000 is 6.56. So it can be seen from tables 3 and 4 that standardizing for age distribution or adjusting for age distribution, has reduced the crude death rate from 8.3 to 6.56, which is the more appropriate way to understand the mortality rate in a particular state or country. Now, in another example, I shall explain you what is the age adjustment or standardization. In table 5, in a study of lung cancer and smoking, 42% of cases and 18% of controls were heavy smokers. Let me explain you the slide more clearly. So table 5 shows the different age groups 40 to 49 years and 50 to 59 years. The number of subjects in 40 to 49 years is 500, out of which 400 are the cases, 100 are the controls. Of the cases, 200 are heavy smokers. So the percentage of heavy smokers among the total number of cases are 50%. The percentage of heavy smokers among the total number of controls is again 50%. 50 by 100 into 100 is 50%. Likewise, in the age group of 50 to 59 years, what we have is 100 cases, of which the heavy smokers are 10. So the proportion of heavy smokers among the cases is 10%. The proportion of heavy smokers among the controls out of 400 is 10%. 40 by 400 into 100. If you total up the total number of subjects, it is 1000. So total number of smokers in case of total number of cases is 210 by 500 into 100, that is 42%. Likewise, heavy smokers among the total number of controls is 90 by 500 into 100, that is 18%. So in 500 controls, we have the 90 smokers and the percentage of heavy smokers among the controls is 18%. Now we apply the principle of standardization. Now in table 5, which we see later, standard population is created by adding up the subjects in both the age groups. That is, in 40 to 49 years and 50 to 59 years, you have to add up the total population. And when you add up the total population, what you get is the standard population. Age-specific proportion of heavy smokers in cases and controls in 40 to 49 years, as seen earlier, is 50% and 10%. So what we have is 50%, we see the percentage of age-specific proportion of heavy smokers. So in table 6, the expected values are calculated and the standardized age proportions of heavy smokers, what we find is 30% for cases and controls. Let me explain you over here better in this slide. So as I said earlier, the standard population what we got is 1000 by adding up both the subjects in different age groups. As I told earlier, the proportion of heavy smokers among the cases is 50%. If you see the previous table. So you apply the 50% in case of this subjects. What we get is 250. Likewise, 50% we apply among the controls. Out of this 500 population, what we get is 250 heavy smokers. Likewise, in 50 to 59 years, we apply 10% among the heavy smokers. What you get is 50 heavy smokers among the cases in that age group. Likewise, you apply 10% among the 500 controls, you get 50 controls in the age group. If you add up, the total is 300 cases, 300 heavy smokers in cases, 300 heavy smokers among the controls. Now 300 heavy smokers among the standard population, what we get is 30%. 300 heavy smokers among the controls, 300 heavy smokers among the controls, if we apply against the standard population, what we get is 30%. So what we have observed is the age-specific proportion of heavy smokers in cases and controls in 40 to 49 years is reduced to 30% for cases and control on standardization. So if you remember the previous slide, as I said, this 50% has to be applied against the standard population of 1000 and 10% has to be applied against the standard population of 1,000 in cases and control as seen in this particular slide. So the percentage of heavy smokers has reduced from 50% to 30% and 10% to 30% in both cases and controls on standardization. Now there is something called indirect standardization. From indirect standardization, what we have is the standardized mortality ratio or rate. But commonly the word used is standardized mortality ratio. Standardized mortality ratio was used in England for allotment of the budget in different areas of the country where there is high mortality and morbidity. Depending upon the high mortality and morbidity, the amount of budget was allotted by calculating the standardized mortality ratio. Now, what is standardized mortality ratio? It is the ratio of the total number of deaths that occurred in a study group to the total number of deaths that would have occurred, that are expected to occur if the study group had experienced the death rates of a standard population. In other words, it is calculated as observed deaths by expected deaths into 100. In other words, standard mortality ratio compares the mortality in a study group, say for example an occupational group, with the mortality that the occupational group would have if they had the experiencing national mortality rates. It means that in any occupation, if it is a occupation which may have some risk, the mortality rate is more. And comparing it to the mortality rate of a country, the occupational group would have less mortality when compared with the mortality rate of the country or the nation. So you have to compare the mortality rates that were occurred in an occupational group with the national mortality rates that is applied, that can be applicable to the occupational group. So observed deaths by expected deaths into 100 is the standardized mortality ratio. Now, if you look into this table number 7, what we have is the different age groups. It's a national population, death rates, and we have the coal workers population. We have the observed deaths. We have the expected deaths. Now, the occupational groups. Now, the occupational group, what I was talking is coal workers. They have been divided into different age groups. So, the observed deaths in that coal workers is 9. Now, if you apply the national mortality rates or the national population death rates in each age group, what we get is, for example, if it is 3, if we apply in the age group of 25 to 34 years for 300 population, what we get is the expected deaths. Likewise, if we apply the death rates against the population of the coal workers in different age groups, we get the expected deaths. On totaling the expected deaths, what we have is, we get the expected deaths as 7. So what we have observed is, if you apply the national mortality rates and national population death rates, the number of expected death rates would come less. So here the standard mortality ratio is observed deaths by expected deaths into 100. That is 129. So the formula to understand is observed deaths by expected deaths into 100. Values about 100%, as we have seen over here, represent an unfavorably mortality experience. It means that the mortality is more as seen in this coal workers because the exposure to them is more because of various pneumoconiasis that can occur in them. And if it is less than 100%, it means that the occupation is less risky or less hazardous and they have a relatively favorable mortality experience. So the score rate of 100 helps us to understand whether a particular occupational group is at high risk or low risk, and whether the allocation of the budget in a particular geographical area has to be done as per the standardized mortality ratio. Now, what advantage has it over the direct standardization rate or age-adjusted direct standardization rate? Standardized mortality ratio has advantage over the direct method of adjustment for age and other factors where age-specific rates are not available or unstable because of small numbers. If you have observed in the previous table, age-specific death rates in standard mortality rate ratio are not given or not mentioned, or if they're unstable. So many a time what it happens is standard mortality ratio doesn't require age-specific rates, and what are the other standardization techniques as we tend to know over here? The other standardization techniques as we tend to know over here are indirect adjustment, life table, regression techniques, and multivariate analysis. So I hope you have understood what are the various mortality techniques in this. To have a brief recap of this mortality rates and ratios, number one is crude death rate. Number two is age-specific death rates. Number three is proportional mortality ratio. Number four is case fatality rate or ratio. Number five is adjusted or standardized death rates. So all these various rates are very important as far as to understand about the various action of the various national programs are concerned, or whether the particular health problem is decreasing or not, or whether the health program is functioning to its full efficiency or not. So in a way, all these techniques, methods, what we have mentioned, mortality is very important. So it's important that you should understand about what is a standard population, what is the various rates, what is direct standardization, what is indirect standardization, what is international death certificate, because many a times as young doctors like you are required to understand about how to certify a cause of death, how to certify whether a particular person has died due to a particular disease, and what are the various factors that could have occurred in this. This is very important for young doctors like you. So mortality rates are very important for you to understand whether you're dealing with a particular disease, or whether you're dealing with a particular pandemic, or whether you are dealing with a particular condition wherein wherein lot of deaths have occurred. Now in difficult and trying times like Corona, what we have now, the pandemic that what we have now, every day we see the number of deaths that have occurred in various countries and in our own country, in various states, how many have recovered, how many are active cases. So here, one thing what we understand from today's class is the mortality rates. The mortality rates are very, very important. So in Corona infection, if you look into the mortality rates of our country compared to other countries is less, either because of the various public health measures that we follow in our day-to-day life. So in relation to this particular topic, one should understand or prevent mortality or morbidity by simply following the various rules or various methods wherein we can avoid or thwart Corona infection. So social distancing or physical distancing is very, very important in Corona infection. So a distance of at least 6 meters is required as far as in Corona infection. 6 feet or 2 meters is required in Corona infection. Likewise, respiratory etiquette and hand hygiene is very, very important. So a promotion of respiratory etiquette, that is coughing in a flexed elbow, is very, very important. And also wearing of a mask is very, very important. I hope that all of you have are taking safety measures in relation to this particular disease and follow the rules and regulations time to time what our government is prescribing in its various websites, and have a safe and a stay at home and avoid corona. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much. Any doubts regarding this particular topic, you can always post or ask me, whether it is a WhatsApp or whether it is, you can always call me up. Thank you very much.
మూడు